Hi everyone, welcome back to Grade B and very good morning to all of you. So today we are going to start is operation costing. We have already studied about operating costing, but today I'll tell you the difference between the operation costing and operating costing. See, before this in costing, we have covered operating costing. There is a very marginal difference in the names, but in essence, both of these type of costings are totally different from each other, right? See, so one side you have operation costing and on the other side you have operating costing. You should be knowing the difference between both of these type of costings. See, operating costing we have already studied about it. This is about service costing. If you are into the business of providing services and you want to find out that what is the cost of my services and what price should I be charging in order to earn the profit, then you should apply the operating costing principles. In operating costing, you add up all these costs and then you find the total cost of providing services. But in operation costing is a, what you can say, a type of process costing. We have not yet started with the process costing, but I'll tell you. Suppose, uh, suppose of anything which is identical in nature, like Pepsi bottles, right? All the Pepsi bottles of similar sizes are identical in everything. In aspects like physical appearance, they are same. With relate to quantity, they are same. The quantity of cold drink which is in there in Pepsi bottles, that is also same. So the process of producing Pepsi, first the mixture, I don't know how Pepsi is made, but just I'm giving you an example that suppose when you are making the Pepsi, in that process there must be 1 2 3 process. First, manufacturing stage will be there, raw material will be assembled, then that raw material will go into the manufacturing. After manufacturing, packing stage will come. So this involves the whole process, and in process costing you find out the cost involved in each process. Process 1, process 2, process 3, and then final stage, finished goods. Till that you calculate all the costs separately. That is process costing, so that you will be able to know that what is my total costing in each process. But what happens in operation costing is, see, operating costing is different. I hope that you now be able to differentiate. This is related to service, this is related to product, right? So remember this thing. Here we are talking about service, this is related to product. Next thing, in process costing, all the products, all the outputs that is coming out of process is identical. Like for example, Pepsi bottles, right? But in operation costing, products are similar, but with slight variations. For example, laptops. if you'll see the outer body of laptop and like features related to display and all those things, most of all remain the same, but in a same model you might be having variations on account of RAM, on account of processor, correct, on account of storage. So these are all little variations which make one laptop different from the other laptop of the same series. So here you are producing products which are yes identical, but it also has small variations attached in. So that is how the difference comes between process costing and operation costing. I repeat, in process costing you are talking and you are taking out cost of similar products, identical products, but in operation costing the products are similar yet different from each other due to the small variations introduced. I hope that you are able to understand what I am trying to convey to you, right? So this is the difference which we have covered in operating costing and operation costing, and how operation costing is different from your process costing. Now come to the notes. What we are going to cover in today's lecture is what is the meaning of operating costing, very important. Next thing, what is the importance of operation costing, what are the objectives. These objectives are obviously going to help you while solving your MCQs. After that we will calculate how to do the operation costing theoretically, right? Obviously after that we are going to take that in practical terms as well, but right now we will see that how operation cost is calculated. Fine. See, so operation costing is a refined method of process costing. The difference, if I see, concept wise not much difference is there. The only difference is related to the products. In process costing very identical to each other, in operation costing similar yet different. In process costing each process or stage of production is costed separately, like process 1. What will be the total cost of process 1 will be written over here. The total cost of process 2, that's how the calculation will go on, and after that total cost will be calculated. The manufacture of a product may consist of several operations. In operation costing, costs are allocated for each operation instead of each process or the stage of manufacture. So because the products are identical in process costing, we differentiate it by the process, that this is the manufacturing process, this is the quality testing process, this is the packing process. That's how we differentiate the costing. But in operation costing we know that there are variations that can be introduced. So how I will talk about operation 1 is the manufacturing of outer cover of laptop, that the outer body of laptop, that is operation 1. Operation 2 will be related to, I do not know how to produce your laptops, I am just giving you an example. So operation 2 will be your like preparing the motherboard and your storage, your RAM, etc. Correct? That's how the differentiation will come. Operation 2 for one series of laptop will be different from another series of laptop. Right? So that's how differentiation will come into the operations. Operation number 3 will related to the pricing and anything extra that you are adding into your laptops. So I am telling you conceptually both of these are same, but in operations you list out separate operation, like operation number 1, 2, 3, 4. Different things have been added in the products. Because of those additions, variations are coming into the costing, and hence we are calculating the cost of it separately, right? do the costing through operation costing? Because obviously it will give you a better control of cost. At any point of time you will be able to know that okay, the maximum proportion of my cost is getting incurred in operation number 2. So I need to be efficient in operation number 2. If there is any mismanagement, there is any inefficiency, there is any loss of product which is happening in operation number 2, you will be able to identify that and correct that. The advantages are quite similar to process costing. The procedure of operation is similar to the process costing. Obviously, material, labor, other expenses which are collected separately for each operation. At the end of accounting period, the unit operation cost may be computed by dividing the operation cost by total output. That's what we do in process costing as well. What they are telling you? So, per laptop cost, if I have to find out, then I will find out the total operation cost, all those operations which are relevant for producing one series of laptop, right? Total operation cost divided by number of units which you have produced. Correct? So this is how you will be calculating. Cost of each such operation is called as operation cost. Operation costing is applied where standardized goods or services result from a sequence of repetitive, more or less continuous operation to which costs are collected and averaged over the unit produced during the period. When goods are processed through different operations, rejections may also arise. So in process costing as well, loss can be of two types. One is normal loss, the another one is abnormal loss. Normal loss means you are expecting that if I will be producing 1 lakh Pepsi bottles, then in that scenario 5% of the bottles will be defective in one aspect or the another. Sometimes packing will not be good, sometimes the grammage, the product quantity is lesser than what is mentioned on the bottle. Correct? So, or sometimes bottle is leaking. So all these quality defects can occur, and you know that your 5% is your normal loss. That is bound to happen. But if your loss exceeds to 8% of the bottles produced, then the next 3% is your abnormal loss. So rejection is normal in any kind of manufacturing process, any kind of manufacturing thing, and that is going to happen here as well. So rejection will happen and you will have to include the cost of rejections in the cost of operation as well. How? See, suppose my total cost of operation is 10 lakhs, right? If I will divide it by 1 lakh Pepsi bottles, so the cost for each Pepsi bottle is 10 rupees. Correct? But I know that there are rejections as well. My normal rejections are 5%. 1 lakh 5%, 1 lakh 5 multiplied by 5%, 5,000. So that means I have to allocate this particular cost on 95,000 bottles. Now see what will be the costing of it. Divide your 10 lakhs by 95,000. It will give me per bottle cost of 10 rupees 52 paisa. Now you see on each bottle 52 paisa has been allocated more. If I would have divided it by 1 lakh, then the costing was 10 rupees. But because due to rejections, my cost has been inflated, and that is how I will include the cost of what you can say expenses I have incurred. Even on rejection bottles, I will load that cost on other good units which are complete in all respects. Are you understanding my point? So now let's read it. Rejections may arise at the end of each such operation, and to determine the cost of operation for specified output, due consideration will be given to the cumulative effect of conversion cost of rejections of such operation. Operation costing is applied where continuous operation or process produces identical units of output. Identical yet with different features. I hope now you have got the essence of your operation costing. Now we will see what is the difference between the process costing and operation costing. Although I have explained you this in a little bit thing, but now we will read it about we'll read about it in the theoretical language. Now let's focus on to that. See, process costing and operation costing are used in accounting usually in relation to the manufacturing sector. Yes, manufacturing sector means you are producing products. If you would have produced services, then we would have gone for operating costing. Both refer to the cost of production, yes, but they differ in terms of methodology and application. Process costing is used in the industry where products are all basically the same. There is no difference between the products like your bricks or cement. All the bags of cement are similar in nature. There is no difference, and hence we are going to use the operating costing there. In operational costing, where we are going to use operational costing? In industries where products are similar, obviously they are similar, but they have some variation in terms of parts or the quality of material. You might be having variations in it. So simply, process costing means whatever you are producing, everything is same. But in operation costing, you are giving identical products but with a little bit difference in features. That is your operation costing. Like laptop computers, they all have built-in screen and keyboards, but the size of screen, type of screen may differ. What is the hardware and software installed on each machine? That would also differ. Computers have common characteristics, but these characteristics also serve as distinguishing features. So this is the aim of your operational costing, that it accounts for the differences. It accounts for the differences in the constituent parts used to produce a product. If there is a computer which is having a RAM of 8 GB, and suppose there is another laptop which is having a RAM of 16 GB, so costing of both of them will be different because the different operations have been employed on them, and you need to include the costing of those operations as well. Now, what is the importance of operation costing? So these importance you can apply in process costing as well. There is no what you can say difference. the importance which I am going to teach you right now can be applied on process costing as well. There is no much difference. Number one, understand and control the company's expenses. See, when expenses happens on a large scale, even I am telling you, the points of paisas, even that also matters. Because when calculated on a whole company level, with so many thousands, lakhs of units being produced and sold, even if you are having a difference of 10 paisa in each unit, right? If we are having a difference of 10 paisa in the costing of each unit, this can cost you in lakhs. Hence, we cannot avoid anything which demands our attention. And how you can decide it? Through operation costing. All these standard costing, budget, operation costing, process costing. Why we have invented all of these? Just to have a look at the cost from different angles. We make budgets so that we can compare it with the actuals. We make standards so that we can tell our laborers, we can design our machineries to produce the product within the specified time limit, so that we do not incur the extra cost or the useless cost. We could be efficient. This is the purpose of costing, right? The costing purpose is to find out cost, yes, to decide the pricing, yes, but to also limit the cost. So cost control and cost reduction are very essential part of costing, and that is why we perform costing. Correct. So if I am writing this particular thing over here, I want you to understand that this particular advantage, importance will be applicable on every type of costing, whatever you may read. So if company's accountant can determine that how much money company is spending on operational cost, if you are accumulating all the costs operation wise, operation number 1, 2, 3, 4, if you are accumulating the cost incurred in operation number 1 under operation 1, under operation 2, operation 3, operation 4, then you will be able to see that what is the quantity of cost which you are incurring, what should be the quantity of cost that should have been incurred, and what is the difference. So that is how you can be more efficient in your processes. They can determine how efficient that spending is. Through this process, they can determine that one aspect is significantly more than the other aspect. So company may investigate from where this higher expenditure is coming and if it is necessary. Like example, if the accountant for a chain store determines that one location is not making enough money to justify staying open, then they may decide to close the store. What are the chain stores? Chain stores that like your Domino's, that is having branches all over India, all over the world, right? Or every location in a city as well, you might be having multiple Domino's locations. So you want to find out, okay, what is the costing for that particular store? If you will find out, then you will be able to analyze whether it is overspending or underspending. If it is overspending, then what is the cause of overspending? In which operation you are overspending? And what is the necessary step that you can take? So that is obviously an importance. Next is improve operational efficiency. We have already talked about it. So operation costing can be objective measure on how differently a company is spending its fund, which can help to remove human error that can possibly happen in any business enterprise, right? See, for example, the manager of one branch of a company's production line may be operating less efficiently than the other branches and they may not realize it. So, company accountant could inform this manager of their operational inefficiency, which could resolve the issue. Apart from obviously removing human error, you can also find out what is the inefficiency in your production line. If there are any bottlenecks are suppose any raw material which you require in the production. If that raw material is into the short requirement, then you can easily pinpoint that okay, we need this raw material and we do not have this particular thing, and that is how you can remove inefficiencies from your process. So they may determine based on the cost of labor to produce the product versus the profit from the product. Some aspect of production is taking an undue of time to complete. Using this information, they may investigate the aspect of production which could result in piece of technology that company is utilizing is inefficient. So you can obviously bring change in technology as well. Operation costing, see, all these things can be asked in the MCQs, and if you know the advantages, then you'll be able to attempt that. So if your technology is efficient, that will be reflected in the costing of your operation. If operation 2 cost is inflated from the standards, then you will try to investigate that what is the reason for it, and you can find out that okay, the machinery which we are using in operation number 2 is not up to the mark and we need to change it. Next, increase the accuracy of budgets and expenditures. Obviously, by performing the operations repetitively, you will be able to know that what should be the approximate costing in order to perform this particular operations. And once you know that, you will be able to prepare the budgets for next period. Remember this thing, no costing operates in isolation. Every type of activity helps it. Like standard costing will help me in operation costing, in process costing, or in marginal costing. Your budgets that you prepare, that is also going to help you in different types of costing. So hence no costing works in isolation. Each type of activity that you perform in costing will help you in the other part of the process. See, how you can increase the accuracy of budget by thoroughly researching the operational expenditure. A company can create a budget which will depict its spending with high degree of accuracy. Knowing how much the company spends can help operational accountants to determine whether they may want to allocate funds in their next budget. Like example, using operation costing, company may determine that one aspect of production line is receiving excess of funds while other aspect is receiving insufficient funds. So obviously this will help you to relocate the funds and reallocate your budgets. Next is obviously prepare for the changes in the industry. Nothing is constant, everything gets changed, and if you are not prepared for the change, then you will be left out in the competition. So these are the advantages. Now moving on to the part calculation of operation costing, but first let's complete this advantage. This could come because of raw material increasing in prices, more competitors entering, reducing the overall acceptable consumer cost. So accountants could establish that the plans that help quickly react to these kind of changes, like prices of beef rises, a fast food restaurant could review their operation costing. Next is calculation of operation costing, how to calculate it. So now a thing is, operation costing is a mixture of two types of costing, right? I have told you that we produce similar products. See, operation costing is the sum total of your process costing plus job costing. Why? Because yes, we are producing identical products. Our products are identical, but at the same time, we also have variations in features. Getting my point? So in process costing, all the products are similar. So obviously we are going to take the technique of process costing. That is, I am going to find out that what is the material plus labor plus direct expenses which I have incurred in the process. But after that as well, I must have incurred other expenses which are specifically related to the features or the additions that I have added on. So this is the main difference between both of these type of costings. Material, labor, direct expense and other expenses, whatever you have incurred in order to add on the features. So operation costing will be the sum total of process and job costing. That is what we are going to study. See, typically, the specific method of calculating a company's operational cost can vary based on the amount of variables a company has in its production line. Variables means how many different features you are adding into your products. If there are more different features, then more number of operations will be added. More what you can say, you have to calculate the cost, you have to add on the cost in each operation separately, and your work will also increase. But if you have just limited amount of variations in it, right, so number of operations will come down and hence your work will also reduce. One potential variation in the production cost can involve any customization available to the customers. For example, if a company that specializes in building sheds offers their customer opportunity to decide the size of shed, this could result in variations of operation cost. These are the steps on how to calculate with a simple production line. So remember this thing I am telling you again and again. Operating costing related to services. If an entity is engaged in providing services, then that entity will going to use the operating costing, and with operation costing we have different products but with similar products but with different features. Number one thing, because we are having identical process, basic features of product is similar. The concrete base is similar. Hence, first we will evaluate the process costing. See, the first step in operational costing is to determine that how much it costs the company to mass produce its product. Mass produce, like in laptops, obviously I have to produce the outer body, correct? The outer body, the plastic body or the metal body, whatever kind of body you are employing in your laptops, that needs to be mass produced because there are no variations in it, correct? So you have to find out that what is the direct material, what is the direct labor, and what are the all other expenses that have been incurred in order to manufacture that particular item in this process. This step entails reviewing all the factors that developing the product involves, including the price of raw material, amount of raw material that each product require, ultimate amount of the product that the company is making over a period of time. A company may utilize one or more of these factors depending on the goal of their operation costing. This number can help them determine the amount of profit that they are making in. Now remember this thing, they cannot be a single process, they can be multiple process, like product can involve process 1 plus process 2 plus process 3. Right? So this is how first of all you have to calculate the costing in terms of process for the identical item that you are producing. Now once you have calculated the cost of identical item, now we will move on to the cost of the variables which you are adding into your product. So the next step for me will be the determining job costing. Why I am determining job costing? So this is for the variable features in my product. Like in laptops, variations in the display, variations in display size, variations in memory, variations in what you can say storage. All these are variations. Variations in processor, variations in the version of the laptop, whether it is 11th generation or 12th generation. All these variations are involved. If all these variations are there, obviously the cost of each variation is different. If I am taking a RAM of 8 GB, then the cost of it would be different. RAM of 4 GB will have a different cost, right? What happens in job costing? So job costing as a concept is taken when you provide small things but customized. This is the difference between job costing and contract costing. In contract costing, you have big projects, but small number of big projects. And in job costing, you have large number of small works, small jobs. That's why we are using the concept of job costing over here. See, job costing refers to the amount that a company spends on manufacturing. This typically includes the cost of paying the employee and maintaining the production facility. This aspect of production is generally easier to calculate because company will have more control over these costs than the process cost. See, in process costing, we are doing mass production. So we'll be having a limited control. But when I'm talking about job costing, when I'm talking about the additions that I'm making into the product, obviously I'm having a control over it, right? For example, a company that designs and produces windows typically pays its employees a flat rate for the amount of time they work, which company can easily determine based on the salary records. Even if each window has a different process cost, the cost of designing the windows remains stable. So this is just the talk that they are doing. You have a limited amount of control over the mass production cost because that is going to be incurred anyway. But because of the variations which you are adding into your product, the features which you are adding into your product are under your control. Whether you want to add it or not, at what cost you want to add it, that is also under your control. So remember this thing. Next is Once you have decided the cost of mass production plus cost of variations, the features which you have added in the product, now combine both of these costs together. That means you have to combine process costing along with the job costing, right? So once the company knows the process cost and the job cost, they will add these expenses together to determine how much they are spending on operation costs overall. This is the step where they could also include the cost of any custom orders, assuming that company has a general non-customized price that they can use in the process cost phase. As an example, a flower shop may charge a flat rate for all of their bouquets, but daffodils cost extra to include. So company could review the amount of bouquets sold and then factor in the additional daffodil cost. So obviously, this is the addition. What you can do is, you can calculate cost of base product. Base product with the features have already been calculated, and then you can add cost of variations also. Like adding a different kind of flower in the bouquet will cost you a little bit more, but you know the cost of this additional flower, you know the cost of producing a bouquet, and you will add both of these, and that's how you will determine the operation cost. Lastly, you will assess the total cost of operation. With this equation, a company can review all of its production line and determine the cost of each. This broader overview of the company's expenses could help an accountant see if there are any redundancies or unneeded expenses, that means inefficiencies, that they could eliminate to improve cost efficiency. For example, an accountant might determine that two production lines are performing overlapping responsibilities, which is resulting in wasted product. They may correct it by reorganizing the two production lines. So this is the steps of process costing, that is the steps of your operation costing, where you are involving process costing as well as the operation costing. Now we will take a small example of how we calculate cost in it. See, so in order to produce the product A, there are three operations which are involved. Operation number 1, operation number 2, operation number 3. Right? The total cost which is incurred in operation number 2 is 1 lakh. Here it is 90,000 and here it is 1 lakh. Units produced will be 10,000 units. This is a very easy calculation. Now, what is my work is, I will add all these three operations. What assumption is, suppose operation number 1 is the mass production operation. Operation 2 and operation 3 are related to the additions or customizations which I have added on. Right? Now the task will be how I will calculate per unit cost. So in order to calculate per unit cost, I will add the cost of each of these three operations. That will be 2,90,000 divided by the number of units which I have produced, that is 10,000 units, and this will give me my per unit cost as 29 rupees. So this was the very basic example that you have to add all the cost, divide by the production which you have done and find out the per unit cost. There will be so many variations in it, like you have incurred the normal loss, you have incurred the abnormal loss. Sometimes it might also be told you that in this particular product you also have to add 5 rupees extra on account of the additions made or the different kind of packing which was required by the customer. So you will also add this. Any addition, any customization which you are doing on account of the product will be included over here in this costing. So there can be different types of it. We'll discuss it separately, but this portion was related to the theory part. And now I would like to ask you, all those who are watching this video, whether you have understood the concept or not. Tell me very quickly. Have you understood the difference between operating costing and operation costing? Because operating costing is not directly mentioned in your syllabus, still I have included it because sometimes if you are a commerce background student, then also you might get confused between the operating costing and operation costing. Both of these are different. Operating costing is a much used concept and operation costing is not what you can say. It is also a used concept, widely used concept, but in academic scenario, operating costing is more popular than operation costing. Both of these are having a whole together different application, different what you can say things where they are applicable, right? So because they are so confusing in the names, hence I have tried to include both of them so that you understand that what are the types of concept which we are using over here, right? So this is it with relation to the theory aspect. I do not know about others whether they are understanding this or not, but I hope operation costing is clear to you. The difference between operating costing, operation costing and process costing. Please remember all these three differently. In the next class, we will try to do the questions which we have to do on operation costing, right? So I will appreciate that if you revise this multiple times in order to understand this in a better way. Thank you so much.